Hi there and welcome to this Rusty Compass Travel Tech Update. My name is Mark Bowyer and today I want to talk to you about mobile phones. You see, I've made a conversion, a fairly significant conversion. Having been an Apple zealot for many years, not just the iPhone, but iMacs, MacBook Pros, MacBook Airs, Aperture, Final Cut Pro, all that, you know it. I have just bought an Oppo phone for less than $300 US, and I am kind of stunned. Its predecessor was an iPhone 6, so the most recent iPhone I purchased was almost 2.5 years ago, and the iPhone 6 Plus actually, and that's been a very unhappy experience. This was an expensive phone. I bought it in Vietnam. It was about $1,100 US. And I would say about 6 months after I bought it, it started to show pretty poor functioning. The battery life was terrible. And then things got worse, and you've probably read about that, and I won't spend too much time. Suffice to say that my iPhone 6 for the last 6 months has been totally dysfunctional. So I decided to buy a stopgap phone while I worked out whether I wanted to buy another iPhone after that rather unpleasant iPhone 6 experience, or whether to buy a Google Pixel, or whether to buy a Samsung. In any case, I was assuming that I would need to buy another high-end phone. I like to take photos, I shoot video on my phone, and I just want a good, reliable phone. So I decided to buy a stopgap phone to cover me while I worked out what kind of high-end phone I should buy next. And that's where I discovered this phone. I looked at a whole lot of different phones for around $300 US, and the Oppo F5 kept coming back at me, mainly because people were very impressed with the camera performance, and I'll show you the camera performance is excellent. But there were a bunch of other things. So I bought the F5 thinking it was a stopgap, but this isn't a stopgap, this is a replacement. I won't be buying an Apple or a Google or any other high-end phone because I can't imagine what it could possibly do that this phone doesn't do. This $300 phone, the performance, it outshines the iPhone 6 Plus. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It is a very good phone, and the idea that it cost me only $300, I'm still kind of amazed that you can buy a phone of this quality for so little. Why am I so impressed by this phone? Well, first up, having come through the disastrous experience of the iPhone 6 Plus, I am just amazed to have a phone that works. So whenever I open an application, it actually opens. Everything works. That's the first thing. The second thing is battery life. You don't realize that when you have a phone where the battery life is only reliable for about 3 hours, it's a real headache because you're constantly worried about wasting your battery, and you're either carrying around accessory batteries, whatever. So having a phone that has a reliable battery is an incredible relief. You don't have to carry around extra batteries, and you don't have to think about recharging your battery. So battery life and general quality of the operation of the phone are big pluses. Then there's the camera. Have a look at this stuff. Have a look at the video and the stills I've shot on this camera. It's very impressive. But then there are a whole lot of other things that have impressed me with this phone. The dual SIM slot. So this phone can take 2 SIM cards. That is a very useful feature for travelers. Of course, like most Android phones, it has an extra dry SD slot, so you can have another 64 or 128 gig of memory on standby. That's really very helpful, and Apple of course still prevents us from expanding the drive capacity of our phones. But there are a lot of other simpler things that I really like about this phone. The power slot, it actually just uses a standard micro USB cable. That means all these micro USB cables that I have lying around I can use to charge my phone. I don't need a special cable to charge the phone. It uses this standard old headphone slot. Again, I've got lots of old headphones lying around. If I buy a new iPhone, I've got to buy new headphones, and I've got to throw all these old headphones away. What a shocking waste. This phone comes with a plastic case, so the protective case is included when you buy it, as is a screen cover, a screen protector. Two things that you inevitably buy whenever you purchase the phone, Oppo actually include with the phone. That's really cool. And lastly, a very important point, I was very apprehensive about making the switch from iOS to Android, assuming that that was going to involve a lot of headaches, both in loading apps and all that stuff, but also just in using the operating system. Well, let me tell you, it is an absolute breeze. My guess is that the process of setting up an Android phone would only be minimally more complicated than buying a new iPhone for an iPhone user. And the process of actually using the Android operating system on this Oppo phone, and I should say, people say the Oppo phone is the easiest for that transition. I don't know. But in any case, it is a breeze. So you don't need to worry about that at all. It's very straightforward. So all up, very pleased to have spent $300 on this phone. I feel like I've saved a lot of money. I feel like that money can be better spent somewhere else. And it's always nice to buy something that seems to be impressive in quality, but at a very good price point. Thanks very much for your time, and see you very shortly. Cheers.